and I was just kind of wiped out from the allergies early on in the morning. So I was able to do it today, so we just moved it to today. Next week, we'll be back to Friday and Sunday, unless something goes wrong. So who knows? But at least for now, it will be back to normal. Okay, so I got to make sure that the live stream is going to start correctly, because as you can imagine, if we don't have audio, we don't have video, big problem. Looks like it's starting up, but just give me a second. Few seconds here, and I think in the meantime I'll just say hello to some of our attendees here. Wait, let me. Everything looks good. Hey, we got Flower Blossom. All right, Flower, welcome. Glad to have you with us. I'm glad that you're here. In all caps. I'm just kidding with you. We got Joan. Welcome here. I was just practicing the piano and I see this. Well, you are just in time. Welcome. Glad you could make it. We got Karen back once again, of course. I'll do my best to explain syncopation to Hannah. But we'll see how it goes. It's not too hard to understand. Luckily, this is like an introduction into it. So hopefully you can get like the base idea on what this is about. We got Marcel once again. Hi, Tim. Hello, Marcel. And Flower, of course. I'm supposed to be doing homework. Well, hopefully your homework is syncopation related. Graham says syncopation, never heard of it. Well, you could play piano for quite a long time and not come across it. It all depends on the genre that you are playing. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start up the Facebook stream, and we'll go from there. So it should take 15 seconds or so, and then we're going to get right on into the lesson. So just give me a few seconds. Hello, students. Your piano teacher, Tim here. Welcome out to Piano Lessons on the Web. Your piano teacher, Tim here. Again, I think I said that already. Man, I'm already great with the intro here. But anyway, if it's your first time watching on Facebook, make sure you like our page. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed. You have all notifications turned on by hitting the bell, because we have new lessons coming out all the time, and you don't want to miss a beat, do you? So make sure you do that. All right. Hello to everybody here. Let's take a look here. I was just kind of reading a comment or two, but just give me a second, and then we're going to get right on into it. So let me do a little bit of an intro, and then we'll get right into the meat of the lesson here. All right. I'm going to teach you syncopation today. That's what we're talking about. Your piano teacher, Tim here. Before we begin, make sure that you are subscribed. You have all notifications turned on, because we have new lessons coming out all the time. You don't want to miss a beat. Let's get on to the lesson. All right, kind of a silly thing there, but I wanted to do that. Okay. Okay, this is what I want to do first. I always like to look over my notes, because it helps a lot. Okay. All right, just give me a sec. Oh, wow, it worked for once. Who knew? Okay, let's lay some groundwork here to understand exactly what syncopation is. Before we do that, you need to understand about accents in measures. And there's natural accents that occur, and this is how it works. So we are in 4/4, and we have 4 quarter notes to fill out the whole measure. Remember, the quarter note just gets one beat, so you can have 1, and then the next one's 2, 3, 4. Hopefully you are following along so far. So the natural accents of the beats, and what I mean by that is just basically where the notes are hitting the strongest. They occur on beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pretty easy, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's all you got to know about that. The only other thing that I'm going to kind of stress a little bit is, and it's not super relevant to today, but you should know, that the first accent is the strongest. And the third accent is the second strongest. And then 2 and 4 are weaker accents. Now, if you didn't get all that, don't worry. Just keep in mind that there's an accent on each of the 4 beats, and you'll do okay. But just keep in mind that at least that number 1 is the strongest beat. Let me show you in 3/4. Okay. Okay, so now we are in 3/4 time signatures. So the question I have for you is, where are the natural accents in this measure? Well, just like 4/4, they occur on beats 1, 2, and 3, and then of course we don't have another beat over there. So just keep in mind that, like, when you're playing a song in 3/4, for the most part, a lot of the emphasis, or beats 1, 2, and 3, will be hit a little bit harder than the other ones. That's all you got to know about that, but you're going to see why you need to know that right now. Okay. Now, let's go back to 4/4 for a second. Oops, not what I meant to do. Okay, here we go. So this is where syncopation comes in, because if you have accents on beats 1, 2, 3, and 4, well, what happens, say, when we get rid of this beat? What happens? Well, let's take a look. Okay, syncopation is actually what occurs when we get rid of that first beat, or any of the beats, and we shift over the accent over to something that isn't one of the beats. So let's chart out our rhythm here, and I'm going to do this on the bottom. So you have 1, that's going to be an 8th rest there, so this is going to be and, 2 and, 3 and if you don't get this stuff, how to count these out, I'll include a link for you once the lesson is up. But here we go. So now we don't have an accent on beat 1. It's instead on what we call the and of beat 1. Now, wait, hold on a sec. Yep. So now it occurs on the and of beat 1. Instead of 4 straight beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, you now have 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. Notice how it has almost like a tiny bit of a shuffle now to it. Bum, 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 bum. Just like that. And you can shift off any of the other beats in the measure as well. Let me show you an example of that. Now here's an interesting one. Okay, another measure of 4/4. We still have beat 1. So that means our accent, or by the way, that's an 8th rest, so this is going to take up and 2. I'll just chart out all the beats. And 3. Oh, look at what's happening, right? All of our quarter notes, the notes that we're going to be hitting on, the notes that are the strongest, aka what are they called? They're called the accented beats. They are now on the ands of each beat. So therefore, we've actually displaced all of the notes here in this measure. So this is a fully, I guess you could call it a fully syncopated measure. I'm not sure if that's a term or not. But here, it's going to be played like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and. So you can spot syncopation immediately if the measure begins with an eighth rest. You know, so you can spot that out. If there are other eighth rests within the measure that take place of one of the 4 beats or however many beats you have, you know right away that you're dealing with syncopation. So let me just kind of write out a tiny example here, and you have to let me know whether you think it's syncopation or not based on what I just said. So just give me a sec. All right. Obviously that wouldn't be syncopated at all. Okay, let's do this type of thing. Okay, syncopated or not syncopated? Well, it begins with a quarter note, right? So far it doesn't look like it's syncopated, but here you go. We're going to try out the rhythm here. We have 1 and 2. So 2, remember there's supposed to be an accent on 2, and there's a rest instead. And I said that if it happened on any of the numbers, not the ands, but the numbers, that you're probably dealing with some sort of syncopation, because this will hit on the and of 2, hit over for 3, then you have and 4, and then and. So see how the notes actually occur on the ands, the plus signs, and not so much the numbers themselves. Even though the first one does occur on the first beat, the rest of these are there's syncopation involved. Okay, let's see about this next one, and you'll let me know. I'll let you know. I'll ask you what you think about it. Okay. Oops. Batting 1,000 today. All right, there you go. All right, just give me a sec. All right, there we go. Okay, question for you. Is this measure syncopated? Well, you probably did see an eighth rest in there, so it could be. But let's double check. You always have to double check. So we have beat 1 here. Let's just chart out the 4 beats that we have. Make things easy. So you have beat 1 here, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll just say the ands here, 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 and then here. Now, here's the thing, is for each of these 4 beats, you want to look at the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, and the number 4, and you ask yourself one question. Are there notes underneath those beats? And there are. So there's a note hitting there. There's a note hitting there, there, and there. So it's not syncopated. You just have an eighth note and then an eighth rest, and then the rest, is just straight rhythm for all of it. So you don't have notes. Well, and if you do have notes also hitting on the ands, the plus signs, that's okay. That doesn't necessarily mean you have syncopation. But if all of them only occur on those, then you are dealing with syncopation. So remember, if they fall on the numbers, there's a note below each of the numbers, it's not syncopated, at least not in the type we're talking about right now. If it hits on an and, or like the other half of a measure, but not the numbers, it's all about actually the numbers. If they hit on the numbers, not syncopated. If they don't hit on the numbers, syncopated. So think about it like that. I think that's the simplest way. All right, there are more types of syncopation and ways to do it. Let's take a look. Okay, before we begin, before we continue, rather, I do want to check up on the chat just to make sure that everything is good. Hello, everybody. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. Make sure to like, subscribe, and all that stuff. But let's get on with the rest of the lesson. Let me show you these other types of syncopation. This is my least favorite form of syncopation, by the way, just because it's... Oh, I have to show you what I'm doing. Just because it's kind of boring, but here we'll edit that part out and get this. Let's take a look here. Here we go. Okay, we have two measures just filled with quarter notes. Pretty easy to understand. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you see something different about this? There's a tie over between each of these. This is called a suspended syncopation, whereas the other one was called an offbeat syncopation, which is why the notes occurred on the offbeats rather than the onbeats. So here we go. So let's see what happens here. The thing to consider now is because we have this tie, what we're doing is we're essentially tying together these two beats. It's like if you had a half note in between there. So here's the thing though, is because you are holding, I'm just going to write hold, you are holding over from beat 4 over to beat 1. Well, what happens? Well, let's take a look. So you have an accent here. By the way, this little Pac-Man symbol is the accent. Should have mentioned that at the beginning, but you probably get the idea. So here's the thing, you hit beat 4 there, but the problem is because you're holding this over, you're actually not hitting again on beat 1. So therefore you have displaced the beat, and then you can have beats 2, 3, and 4. So there's a little bit of syncopation going on there. It's a very boring type of syncopation, but yeah, so here you go. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You could hear that as I was holding over for 4, 1, 2. You could really hear that accent then on beat 2. So that displaced the beat. Therefore, it is a syncopation. So watch out for ties. It doesn't necessarily automatically mean if there is a tie that there's syncopation. You'll have to chart out the beats, see if any of the beats are being held over or something like that. But be on the lookout for the suspended syncopation. Okay, there's another one. Yes, there is another one. All right, there's another one I'm going to show you. Let's take a look. Okay. This one happens in 3/4. Well, it can happen in others, but let me take a look here. Yeah, we'll do this. And what is this? Let me check my notes really quick. Okay. Ooh, there it is. I'm just making sure I don't miss anything. Yes. Okay, here we go. Okay, this type of syncopation occurs in 3/4 time. And let's just chart out a simple rhythm here. Oops. And wait, was this even beat? Even note. Okay. Syncopation. I just want to make sure I call it the right thing. Okay. Okay, so here we have a measure of 3/4 with all quarter notes. You have beats, obviously, 1, 2, and 3. So you have an accent, 1, 2, 3. Now, remember what I said towards the beginning of the lesson with the different weighted accents? I mentioned really quick that the first accent occurs, the first one in the beginning of the measure, first beat, is the strongest accent. So we're going to write that. So here's an accent. That one's the strong one. Then you have a weak one. And then 3 is another like weaker one. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The accents rhythmically are placed there even if an accent isn't written. And it really helps move the piece along in a way. So when you are playing your pieces, you do want to leave a slight attack, like the first beat of each measure, slightly more. All right. And then to continue with this. So we have our strong beat on beat 1, and then 2 and 3 are weaker ones. But what happens if we do this? We put a strong one. That means strong because it's bold. And what about a weaker one here on beat 1? So you have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Instead of 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You have a 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So in this case, we have not displaced any of the beats. We have a note on each of the numbers, which is fine. However, this is still considered it's called even note syncopation because we are actually putting the emphasis on an even number. So if you were in 4/4 and you put accents on 2 and 4, then that would be a type of syncopation as well. It just gives a different drive to the beat, as you could hear when I played it. Okay. So in your music, the way this would be written out is you actually wouldn't have accents here because it's already implied that beat 1 gets a strong accent. The other one does not. But probably what you're going to see here is you're probably going to see actually something like a, what would be like hit it? Actually, you know what? This would do it automatically. What you would see is an actual accent written on beat 2 right there. So you'd have an accent here on beat 1, but a strong one on beat 2, and then 3. And because you can see that there's an accent placed by the composer, me, here on the second beat, you can automatically kind of assume that 1 and 3 in this case aren't as strong as 2 because 2 actually has something, written there to hit that stronger. So that's how you would find it if you were playing a sheet of music. Okie doke. Let me check my notes. Yeah. Okay, so cool. I think it was a really good lesson. I'm sticking around for a little bit longer for the live stream people in attendance. Let me do an outro, and then we'll get, on with it. So if you are new to the live streams, it's going to sound like I'm ending the live stream now, but I'm not. The whole point of this is to make an outro for when I piece the video together. Then, it all makes sense. So let me do this. And, of course, the best thing to do is tell people to watch more videos. Here we go. Okay. And, of course, as a piano player, you're going to have to understand a lot more about rhythm. So you're going to want to check out this playlist right here. It's going to give you some really, really helpful tips on how to count different rhythms, how to count properly. It's been your piano teacher, Tim, here. Thanks so much for coming today. I'll see you, yes, you, in the next lesson. Okay. This is good stuff, Tim. Says, oh, I'm fuddy-duddy. I was wondering where you were at the other day. Glad to have you back with us. I'm glad that it's good stuff. Make sure you like it if you liked it. Of course, you guys know that by now. One of the best online piano websites. Well, thank you so much. If you're talking about me anyway. If you're here to talk about... No, it looks like you're talking about me. So thank you so much. I'll take it. Take the compliment. Yes, one thing I didn't really mention in the lesson, it's not that big of a deal, is you're not going to find this in classical music, like at all. So like I said before we even began the lesson, whether you come across syncopation or not, all depends on what the genre of music you're playing. So if you play rock music, jazz, big time, you're going to see a lot more syncopation. Here from colder Bangor. Yeah, it's probably not super cold yet, but it is certainly getting colder around here. It's still nice, though, for sure. I really like that. I like when it's nice, like, well into fall. And then I obviously, like, probably 90% of the people out there like when it gets nice, like, early. I hate when it gets to be, like, May and the weather is just, like, winter still. It really makes me, like, depressed. It's horrible. But... Okay, somebody says, I want that hat. Unfortunately, I don't make the hat. I need to make my own version, but I really like this hat. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a seller on Amazon that sells it anymore. So that's a problem. I need to figure that out. Because people seem to like the hat more than the shirt that I haven't worn in 2 months. Because I can't find it. I think soon, probably sometime at the end of the year, maybe the beginning of the year. Maybe we'll do that for 2020. Is I'll design a new, like, merch kind of thing. A new, like, shirt. And then a hat that you guys can buy. I think that would be cool. Cool way to ring in the new year. Because I always like to change things up a little. I always say this. I always like to reinvent myself slowly over time. And if you watch my videos year to year, you can see that difference. But if you watch me all the time, then it's by design, it's going to be more subtle in the way that things are changing. So I got off topic there. So let's take a look here. Busta Bass says, syncopation is the heartbeat of jazz. Charles says, that is a good example of syncopation and bad spelling, because he spelled of wrong, I think. But welcome, Charles. Glad to have you with us. Let's see here. Dante K says, what would you say is the number one problem most people have in learning how to play the piano? They play too fast. Period. That's it. That's the number one problem. They play too fast. Like, especially, I mean, like, everybody plays too fast. Like, everybody does it. I do it at times. It's especially a problem when learning a piece of music that you're familiar with. So if you're learning Jingle Bells, for example, I always like to use that one for some reason. Chances are you're going to try to learn it too fast, right? Because when you're first learning a sheet of music, you should play it very, very slow. In fact, you should play it very slow for a long time, at least a few days, a few weeks even, before you begin to speed it up, and you're going to get a lot better results that way. And also, playing things too fast will lead to frustration, probably eventually leads to a lot of people quitting. So don't play too fast. Slow it down. You don't have to go so fast. Nice. I learned since Filthy Will. Well, glad to have it. Favorite piano teacher right here, says Dr. Siege. So glad to hear that. I've been getting a lot of nice comments recently. Like, I've gotten like at least two, but 3 comments that are like, I may have brought this up last time, but that are like, you've been putting out really good lessons, like really good videos recently. It's pretty cool that like there's different people that say the same stuff. But the other one is like the you're the best piano teacher online thing. I've been getting more. So I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something right, guys. Shouldn't let it get too to my head, because you know the best on whatever platform is always always subjective. Jeremy says, sorry out celebrating, but that's okay. It's Jeremy's birthday, I believe you said, or celebrate it today or this weekend. But thanks for the lesson, Tim. All right, no problem, Jeremy. Glad to have you with us today. Horrible spelling as well, says Dr. C. Sanata. Charles says, I tried to link something. It didn't come through. Love it as an open door as syncopation. Okay, so everybody look that up. Yeah, YouTube, I think, blocks other people from leaving links. I might even have that set up in my settings for good reason, because, people can obviously abuse that. But I think it's on a YouTube. I don't think it's me. I don't know. It could be me, though. I'd have to check the options. Bass is the pulse of music. I agree. I definitely agree. Busta Rhymes says don't, or Busta Rhymes. Busta Bass says don't practice. Okay. Tia says you're a fantastic teacher. I'm still learning how to count music. I'm not learning piano, but I am learning violin. Thank you. All right, you're welcome. Jeremy was celebrating 3 days. Wow, I'd be dead after that. Or it depends on what type of celebrating, but but even like any type, I think after 3 days I'd be done. Shapley says, "Hey man, I've been watching a lot of your videos and they're very helpful. Thank you so much." And he continues to say, "I'm just starting piano and I really enjoy it. Woo, so woo." That's from I was watching your Mom's House podcast. And they were saying, "Sue woo." All right, let's see. Champy says, okay. I read that. Charles says, music notes. Okay. Oh, look it up on music notes. I see what you're saying. At first, I was like, why is he saying music notes? But yes, look that up. I gotta learn harmonica, and we all know for that one song. All right, harmonica's fun. I have a really nice harmonica somewhere. I think it's actually at my dad's house. But and I've never used it ever. Well, I've tried to use it. Busta says, don't practice is the reason why people don't get better. That's the main reason. Actually, I'm going to walk you guys through here in a few minutes what's coming up. And I believe that lesson's coming up like next time. Like why you aren't getting better at piano. Rich is here, probably at work, watching, I don't know, on his lunch break maybe. But welcome, Rich. Glad to have you guys with us. I know it is the daytime live stream during the week, which is not your favorite. But here we are, bruh. Okay, Piano Man says Charles. Okay. Piano Man. I agree. Thank you, Tim. You are the tops. Says, sorry about that. You're funny, Duddy. That actually hurt my ears. I'm just having fun with it today. Oh, excuse me. All right, guys. Any questions about what we talked about today? I do. Oh, yeah, there's a few things I want to walk you through still. Just give me a second or a few. Okay, so if you don't know, I have a website, pianolessonsontheweb.com. You should check it out because I have courses over there that can teach you a lot more about music. But today, click on the community tab, and it brings you to the calendar of what we're talking about and when. So free live classes Fridays and Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we meet. And here's the calendar. So obviously this is what we did today. Friday, November 1st. And by the way, if I ever have to reschedule a live stream, check it out here first. Also, good idea to follow on Facebook, Twitter, all that, because I do doing a much better job of letting students know through those avenues as well. Next Friday, we're doing 5 reasons you aren't making piano progress, which I just said. So I'm going to try to include some things that I haven't talked about on the channel a lot before. But also kind of also going over some really, important keys that I have. So try to always make these like a good learning experience for as many people as I can. We have mastering key signatures on the 3rd. I'm going to give you like a few tips. Like I've talked about the circle of fifths a lot or a few times, but I'm going to show you like kind of maybe how to get around that, how to figure out what key you're in, how to basically memorize your keys easier. Friday, the Friday after that, I'm actually going to do a book review. It will be like an Amazon affiliate linked kind of thing. It's not going to be like an official sponsor or anything, but I do talk about the Alfred Adult book like all the time. So, I just think it's a good idea to share my thoughts on that. Try something a little different for the channel as well. And then you can read through the rest of this. Like I'm going to do how to actually use music theory to play piano. So I'm going to try to make that more about how, like, rather than just learning the theory and then learning the piano separate, like how does music theory apply to playing piano? And then tips for learning Bach is that Sunday. Should be good if you want to learn how to play Bach, which all of you should. Very good learning pieces there. We got lead sheet symbols on Friday. I'm going to show you Friday the November 15th. Going to be showing you all those wacky symbols in jazz music and how to interpret them because they are not easy to interpret if you don't know what you're doing. Transposition, I've never talked about that on the channel at all. So there's a lot of new stuff here, or a good mix. Like I like to do that. Sight reading, apps. So I did an app lesson, which the edited version is coming out Friday. I think it's going to be a great one. And but this one specifically on sight reading apps. So we're going to dig more deep into the sight reading portion of the app universe. People seem to really like that live stream, by the way. I'm excited to post the edited video because I think people are going to really like it. I think it's going to pop off and be good. Bring new students into the channel. Friday, the last Friday of the month, Student Showcase. So if you don't know what the Student Showcase is, this is probably the more important part of going over the calendar, is throughout the month, send me recordings of you playing. You can submit them to me through email, tim@lessonsontheweb.com. You can send them to me through Facebook, like the Facebook Messenger. You can, link them. You can put them on YouTube, send me a link, or just upload them. Send as an attachment. That might be a little harder if the videos are a bigger file size. But anyway, the whole idea is you send me you're playing, your videos, and I will review them at the end of the month, the last live stream of the month, and I'm going to be giving you valuable feedback. So you can kind of think about it as a sort of a one-on-one lesson with me where I'm really commenting on the stuff that you're doing. But you have to submit an entry to be able to do it. One piece per student. However, if you have a really short piece that's a minute or two long, you may submit another one that's also not that long. None of your recordings should be over 10 minutes, that's for sure, because it shouldn't even be that. So if you send us a 10-minute recording, I'll review half of it or so. But anyway, end of the month Student Showcase, check that out. And we'll go from there. All right, so I get a little tired now. Any theory lessons upcoming, says Busted Bass. It's kicking my ass. Well, there's the how theory can apply to piano one. Other than that, no, not really. Transposition's sort of a theory thing. If theory's kicking your butt, though, kicking your ass, rather, I can say it. It's okay. Then check this out. If you haven't seen it. Where is... Oh, yeah. Check this one out. It didn't do as well as I'd hoped. But it's still a super valuable lesson. Nonetheless. You really want to check out this lesson. It's like an introduction to music theory. I know I spelled it wrong. In one lesson. There you go. Check that one out. Charles says, I'm learning all my 251 counterclockwise on the circle of fifths. Good. That's a good example of theory. I agree. 2, 5. 2, 5, 1. Or I guess you do it like that, right? The sevenths. I remember it. Busta says, I get all that. It's the analytics of chords, rhythms, and compositions that are... Oh, okay. You know what? I'm currently... Well, this might be after you need it. But I am actually coming out with a course. I'm working on it right now. That's all about analyzing pieces of music using music theory. And I do want to make a few YouTube lessons about that. But I want to make those after I make the course, because it would make sense to do the YouTube lesson and be like, oh, hey, I also have this course that you can buy. So it makes more sense to do that. But it's in the works. I can't say when, but I do want to pick up pace on it, so I can get a new course out, every once in a blue moon. Piano Girl says, message retracted. Piano Girl says, thanks, Tim, for saving me out of my study session for history. Well, you're very welcome. We are going to conclude here in a few minutes, so you might have to sneak in some history time, but hey, what are you going to do? So glad you guys could come out today. We got a pretty good crowd today. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm surprised because I was like kind of worried. I was like, well, if I move it to tomorrow, there's going to be people at school, at work, but it looks like it's not stopping any of you guys from getting on YouTube. It's pretty fun. Dr. C has just finished Moonlight Sonata 1. What do you recommend next? I was thinking Chopin Prelude in E minor. That sounds great after Moonlight Sonata number 1. You might want to learn Pathétique. It's like basically pathetic. Or no, it's Pathique, Pathétique Sonata. Learn Movement 2. Movement 1 is going to be really hard for you, I think, at this point, but Movement 2 is good for that. So Pathétique Sonata, it's Beethoven. Movement 2. Good deal. I will look for that, says Busta Bass. All right. Thanks, Tim. Hopefully you feel better with these seasonal allergies. Yeah, I'm doing really well today. Yesterday was like the only day I've really had in a while. At least a fair while, like a few months at least, where I had a lot of trouble with it. This is my first live stream of yours. Well, glad that you're here. I'm usually at school right now. It's 12:40 here. Well, it's 1:40 here, so you are an hour behind me. So if we meet at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that means we meet at 12. Either p.m. or a.m. You didn't say what it was. I assume p.m. because you wouldn't be at school then. Crystal Moody says, question, does anyone know what the very first piece of music written? Excuse me. No idea. No idea. If anybody wants to recommend or chime in. All right. Yeah, what else do I have to tell you today? It was kind of a shorter lesson on the first end. But, yeah, take a look for Friday's lesson, the one about the music apps. That one's going to be really good. And then, yeah, come Friday and Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern, and we can meet again live. Crystal says, question. Does anybody know? Oh, I already answered that. For some reason, I thought it was a different question. But, yeah. Oh, it was written down by a monk. Karen, that makes a lot of sense. However, it's kind of hard to prove, don't you think? Like, I'm sure that's like what the historians would agree. Like, this is the first record of music being written down. Because you would think that somebody, like even a caveman, might have written like some kind of music somehow. Like either singing or something. Somehow. It might not be nearly as sophisticated as what we have. Yeah, the chants are really like where music came out of, supposedly. Like I said, there's probably stuff before that, but that's like the really first recorded beginnings of where music came from. I do remember that now. Want to learn using syncopation to convey fast or slow movement. Okay, cool. Says Brian. Buzzard says I still don't know. Written, that's hard to tell because there are dead older music notations. Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to say. But I know, like the monks, they had this the solfege system, the do re mi fa sol la ti do, but it was like this the hand stuff that they did. I think they did that even before. Well, I think they did that to basically communicate what they were singing without passing, like music notation around. Because as you can imagine, they didn't really have a printing press or access to the one. Probably didn't even have a printing press at the time to do that. Okay, Jeremy ASL says $10. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Really appreciate the super chat. You've been really smacking on the super chats lately. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciated it. And still appreciate it. Okay, yep. Are your streams always this early? My son, yes. The answer is yes. My piano loves the piano, but it is in school. Oh, man. Oh, man. Yep. Well, Piano Girl, the live stream was supposed to be yesterday at this time, but I couldn't make it. right. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Make sure to check out my website if you're interested in courses, pianolessonsontheweb.com. You can also check out the community tab at the top of the page to see what we're meeting, what we're talking about, and when. So thank you so much for coming, everybody. It's been a pleasure, as always, to be with you. We're going to be meeting next Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, so check that out. I got a new lesson coming out Friday morning at 9 a.m.-ish Eastern, so make sure to be on the lookout for that also. It's been your piano teacher, Tim, here. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next live stream. All right. All right, see you guys.